This is Beyond a Reasonable Doubt with your hosts, Mark Garrigus and Gary Smith.
How are you, young GPS?
I'm doing well, Mark. How are you this fine Sunday?
Very good. I don't think I saw you a lot this week. What the heck happened?
You were in and out. I was there, and I saw you a few times, but there were more than a few days where you were just sort of skulking around upstairs and never really made your way down my way.
Well, okay. I wasn't ignoring you. I miss you. So, yeah. All is well down behind the orange curtain.
Absolutely. Yeah. Everything's going great down here. And, we enjoyed the exciting Las Vegas Grand Prix last night and all the intrigue that went with it. And, now we're on to Sunday, and we'll see if the Los Angeles Chargers can fend off the Packers this morning.
I think I've got a good feeling about today, but what do I know? What about you?
Oh, I'm a Chargers fan. So, good.
I know you're, trust me. I know you're a Charger.
As good feelings go, I've conditioned myself to avoid them even when they start to creep in, but, I'm optimistic. I'm hopeful.
I liked this team this year.
Yeah, me too. No, they're doing very well. And, the Chargers tend to put up a good showing when they're in Green Bay. So we shall see. Hopefully a good outcome. I know the Los Angeles Magazine has a big presence at the Chargers home games this year, and rightfully so as well. They should. Right,
and you need to take advantage of that.
Yes, sir. All right. Okay. So how you doing?
You tell me. You're curating this week. We always do best when you curate. What's up on your agenda here?
Yeah, so I think maybe the most fun thing to start out with is a U.S. senator who challenged the president of the Teamsters to a fight in a Senate hearing. So why don't we just start there, and you can go ahead and call your out when you've seen enough.
Now, Let's talk about Mr. O'Brien himself, his behavior. As everybody knows, and it's here in the last time, him and I kind of had a back and
Gary. Senator Mullen is from where?
I'd have to look it up. I think it might be. Let's see here. Senator Mullen is he's a senator from Oklahoma. Sorry, I knew it was somewhere in the Midwest. I just wasn't sure off the top of my head. But Mark Wayne Mullen is from Oklahoma, and he's a newly joined member of the Senate. He was elected in a special election in 2002 to serve the remainder of the role of Jim Inhofe's term.
2022, correct?
I'm sorry. Yes, I misspoke. 2022. That's correct.
And what's his background?
I believe he was a plumber. He founded a plumbing business. His wife was working in the office, and he was out there, doing the dirty work, so to speak. And he eventually got himself elected to the Senate.
U.S. Senate. That's, kind of the citizen politician, which is what the founders had in mind. And he's, I want to say cross-examining, betraying my day job, but who is the gentleman? It's a Teamsters. Let's give a proper introduction for those who are watching. You will understand very quickly why I'm asking these questions.
Yeah, Sean O'Brien, I believe, is the president of the Teamsters Union.
Okay, let's take a look.
All right.
Now, let's talk about Mr. O'Brien himself, his behavior. As everybody knows, and it's here in the last time, him and I kind of had a back and forth. Appreciate your demeanor today. It's quite different. But after you left here, you got pretty excited about the keyboard. In fact, you tweeted at me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And let me read what the last one said. It said, greedy CEO who pretends like he's self-made. Sir, I wish he was in the truck with me when I was building my plumbing company myself, and my wife was running the office, because I sure remember working pretty hard and long hours. Pretends like he's self-made. What a clown. Fraud. Always has been, always will be. Quit the tough guy act in these Senate hearings. You know where to find me. Any place, anytime, cowboy. Sir, this is a time, this is a place. If you want to run your mouth, we can be two consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on. Oh, stop it.
Is that your solution every problem?
No, sit down.
Sorry, Eric.
Sit down.
Okay.
You're a United States Senator. Sit down.
Okay.
Sit down,
those
please.
who aren't watching on YouTube, that familiar voice is Senator Bernie Sanders, who is the chairman of that committee and is trying to he's about to go. Would you call it a Vince McMahon, or would you call it some other? You give him some other title at this point.
I mean, Vince McMahon, I feel like would be encouraging the fight, whereas the Senator Sanders is desperately trying to maintain some level of decorum with these two knuckleheads. You know,
keep going because it's wild.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. Let's keep going.
Joyce, it is.
All right.
Can I respond?
Hold it. If we can, no, I have the mic. I'm sorry.
This is what he said.
You'll have your time.
Okay.
Can I respond?
Oh, no, you can't. This is a hearing. And God knows the American people have enough of contempt for Congress. Let's not make it worse.
I don't like thugs and bullies.
I don't like you because you just described yourself.
Hold it. You have the mic.
Yeah.
You have time.
All right.
Make your statement.
Then let's do this, because I did challenge you and I accepted your challenge. And you went quiet.
No, I didn't go quiet. You challenged me to a cage match, acting like a 12-year-old schoolyard bully.
Excuse me. Hold it. No, excuse me.
I will say exactly.
Senator Mullen, I have the mic.
Joyce, it's always good to see you. Thank you for.
You see the guys behind the Teamster putting their heads in their hands?
Oh yeah, they're dying. Those are presumably members of his union who are there, with him, and they all think it's hilarious. And I mean, I got to be honest with you, Mr. O'Brien, the Teamsters president, to me comes off as, not as angry and more having fun with this.
He does seem like he's having a lot more fun. I mean, are we able to put the link in so people can then watch the entirety of this? Because it's very entertaining.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have a link to it in the YouTube comments. Go to youtube.com/reasonable doubt podcast. Subscribe while you're there. And if you click on the video for this episode in the comments beneath the description, you'll see a video link for that. It's about a 6-minute video, and it's, I've watched it 2 or 3 times because it's just kind of fun. I mean, it is
fun. It's a great. You want to just play? You want to go to another one of the snippets where they kind of give a back and forth. It's pretty entertaining. It's a good interlude, if you will, on politics today.
Yeah, let me see if I can find a good one here. Let's just scrub ahead. Apologies, I don't have this time code set, so let's just see what this looks like.
You said it.
You're an embarrassment.
You said it, and I'm just simply answering it.
Senator Mullen, hold it. Senator Mullen, you made some charges. Mr. O'Brien, do you want to respond to
go ahead,
question?
Please.
Yeah, I mean, look, the reality of it is,
accept my challenge,
Mr. Mullen, tough guy.
Answer the questions.
All right, y'all won. He made a lot of statements, right? And his statements are fiction at best.
Fiction. I read them.
Can you
what?
Answer the question, please.
We'll cut it.
Can you play that one more time? Because I actually did that in a courtroom the other day, and I got excoriated for it, and so I can relate to it. Can you just play back that?
He made a lot of statements, right? And his statements are fiction at best.
Fiction. I read them.
Can you
what?
Answer the question, please.
I can't understand him, to be honest with you.
Gary, that could be our new meme for because that's kind of the equivalent of my art history teacher in college who used to he'd drone out at the end of class. He'd just go, and furthermore, blah, 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 that end the class that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you mentioned memes, so I guess we'll transition to another story from this week. You and I were texting back and forth about a situation where, we also have a few clips of this, so we'll get to those down the road. But there was some testimony from the Georgia case that was leaked. Select video clips were leaked of Trump, former Trump associates who had done, depositions and been testifying. And there was questions as to where this all came from. And
by the way, let's set this up for a second.
Sure.
They talk about the leaks, and this is one of the things from a legal standpoint that I've argued for years. originally, Shepard versus Maxwell, and you remember this, Gary, because we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, was the U.S. Supreme Court case where F. Lee Bailey famously got a reversal at the U.S. Supreme Court because of the circus-like atmosphere at Sam Shepard's trial, and which famously became the fodder or the script or the narrative of a TV show or movie. And back then, it was to protect the rights of the defendant. That's what the whole idea was. Obviously, if you're reversing a conviction, the U.S. Supreme Court finds that the pretrial and peri-trial, during the trial, coverage was so over the top, basically, that it impinged on the defendant's right to a trial, which is the Sixth Amendment right to a fair trial. So there's a tension between the First and the Sixth. That's what the case stands for. What has happened over the years since whatever date that case was, I off the top of my head, I want to say 1954. What's happened since then, in the almost 70 years since then, is the narrative has been flipped. It's now the prosecution who wants to go in and gang the defense, because the whole idea is when they do their kind of announcement of the charges, or we've got the guy, or this is the case, or we're going to take him out, then they want to muzzle the defense. And mind you, the Supreme Court, since Shepard versus Maxwell, in a case called Gentile, which was a lawyer in Nevada, has said, wait a second here, you can't go in and then, do your kind of dog and pony show if you're the prosecutor, and then muzzle the defense. The defense has got to have some kind of a safe harbor to fight back against that. And by the way, you've kind of, to some degree, and that was 20 years at least after Shepard, they recognized that there was this kind of perversion going on. It's gotten even worse since Gentile. And Gentile's case was where I believe it was the Nevada State Bar was trying to punish Gentile and disbar him from the practice of law because he had fought back zealously for his client. Now you have this situation here where in Georgia, where they have, they've done a drum roll and a rollout of the case against the 19 defendants. They've got no problem with televising in the courtroom when people plead guilty. They've got no problem with doing any of those things and announcing or charging RICO and everything else. So what happens? So there are now leaks showing some things that clearly are could be read as helpful to the defense in that case. And what ends up happening, Gary? That was my little diatribe for you or setting the table for you.
Absolutely. So why don't we just go to some of the press clips that we have just to illustrate the point here. Let's see. We can start with this one.
Before being here, my first question is just, is there a question in your mind as to whether this gag order is gonna hold up in the appeals court?
No, there's absolutely no question. This is a very limited restraining order that preserves Trump's rights to engage in political speech. The Court of Appeals may even go ahead and put it back in place during oral argument. That doesn't happen very often, a ruling from the bench during an...
Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. This is the other clip where on MSNBC, their legal analyst is claiming that the Trump D.C. order, mind you, the D.C. order is on the classified case, and they pressed pause on that.
My mistake. I hit the wrong clip. I have two ready to go here. You want to pivot over to the Georgia one?
Go back to that. We'll circle back.
I'm sorry. You want to keep going with that clip that we just started?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
The Court of Appeals may even go ahead and put it back in place during oral argument. That doesn't happen very often, a ruling from the bench during an oral argument. This may be the standout case because of Trump's ongoing conduct.
Yeah, the fact that Trump literally ungagged, if you will, is on the stump, targeting the special counsel's family sort of gives rise to the initial criticism about why the appeals court even put a stay on the gag order as it did while they sort of deliberated this.
By the way, what's so fascinating about this, they're talking, albeit about the D.C. order. This is literally hours before the New York court vacated the gag order that Judge, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but the Judge E, as I will call him, imposed on Trump there. This idea, and once again, we go back to a defendant's right to a fair trial, which is the Sixth Amendment, has a tension with the First Amendment. Guess what takes precedence, much to the chagrin of prosecutors? And they keep thinking, and here you have probably, you could not script out a more, I think, viable defense for their defense to the imposition of a gag order, because we're talking about core political speech. Here is the leading candidate for the Republican Party being muzzled in multiple jurisdictions. It happened, which is why New York pressed pause on it, and why I predict you're going to see that there's going to be action here in the D.C. case as well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Want to finish out that clip?
Absolutely. Here's stuff that, by the way, this goes back to, once again, I know this is a theme, and I mean, when did the left, as articulated by MSNBC, when did they become the cheerleaders for the prosecution? I don't understand it, but go on.
Yeah, I think the administrative stay is par for the course in a setting like this. You sort of preserve the status quo while you're taking just a few days to decide issues. But Trump's behavior, Alex, I mean, we all know it is out of bounds. It is dangerous. Just the cavalier comments that he made about Paul Pelosi, the really just trivial comments directed at Jack Smith, endangering his family. This is the sort of conduct that the courts need to put a stop to immediately. I
mean, it just hold on for one sec. Is the hearing tomorrow?
I think it is. I'm not certain, but I think it is.
Okay, just remember, she thinks they're going to, here's the prediction, is that they're going to, from the bench, reinstate the gag order. Yeah. That's the prediction. So I'm going to set that up. We may do a Bard to see if that's correct. If they're going to, from the bench, tomorrow, Monday, November 20th, if the appeals court is going to reinstate the gag order from the bench against Trump in the D.C. case. Mind you, coming on the heels of New York vacating the gag order on the that trial because he was talking about the clerk.
Yeah, and it's fun that this is happening at this time of year because everyone's going to have a very fun Thanksgiving, I would imagine.
Oh, my God. My father used to say there are more murders on Thanksgiving Day of family members that arise out of various arguments than any other day of the year. And it's every year, unfailingly, you will see or hear that. So
I absolutely believe it. Well, Mark, do you need to run, or you want to watch one more here? It's up to you.
I want to watch one more clip.
Okay, so let's pivot back to Georgia.
I'm having too much fun.
Yes, absolutely. Let's pivot back to Georgia. I'm very sorry I hit the wrong clip there. Sometimes when I got several things open, it get a little hard, and I just get away with myself. So here we go. We'll pivot back to Georgia, and here is Lawrence O'Donnell's show from earlier this week.
Get to the actual substance of what those defendants pleading guilty said to prosecutors in this leaked video. We're going to go straight to the question of how material like this could possibly be leaked to the media at this stage of the case. Leading off our discussion tonight, Neil Katyal, former acting U.S. Solicitor General and a professor at Georgetown Law. Also with us, Joyce Vance, former U.S. attorney and professor at the University of Alabama School of Law, and Gwen Keyes, former district attorney of DeKalb County, Georgia. Gwen, let me just begin with you.
Now, there's a well-rounded lineup for a discussion. You're going to get both sides out of this threesome here of federal prosecutor, state prosecutor, and former solicitor general. That's the kind of wide-ranging legal analysis that you're going to get. Here you go. This is. Why you think there's going to be one amen choir going on here?
No, and as long as we're doing this, we might as well make fun of ourselves because we're Joyce fans heavy on this episode. We are. I don't want people to think we're picking on anyone, but let's just point it out.
Look, by the way, I like Joyce Vance.
Yeah.
I like her viewpoint.
I know you do.
Why not have somebody who actually will call her out for the hypocrisy that is the statements that are being made?
Oh, we can't have that. Come on, Mark. This is TV. Let's check it out.
On this procedure in Georgia, who at this stage would be in possession of this video? Obviously, the prosecutors have this video. But what about defense counsel? Would the Trump defense lawyers have this video through the discovery process already?
I would presume so. Again, prosecutors have an ongoing obligation to provide defendants discovery as they get new information, new witnesses, certainly statements by co-defendants who have now entered pleas. All of that would have been turned over to the entire defense team as the prosecutor honors her obligation to meet her discovery requirements.
So Gwen, let me just stay with this with you for a second. When you look at this and you look at incentives for leaking, the prosecutors have no incentives for leaking this. They're obviously in position.
Oh, time out here. This is where somebody should push back. Okay, maybe I agree with you. The prosecutor has no incentive to leak it. Why does the prosecutor have no incentive to leak it? Oh, would it undermine their case? Would it get in the way of the narrative they've constructed? Would that be a problem for the prosecutor? And by the way, does the defendant have a right to a fair trial, or is it only the prosecution who has the right to a fair trial? Have we completely inverted what the Sixth Amendment is? Sorry, Gary.
Oh, you're right. Look, I'm watching you very carefully here and watching your blood boil so that I know when to pause. But yeah, let's keep rolling.
Prosecutors have no incentives for leaking this. They're obviously in possession of it. What do you see as the possibilities for where this kind of leak would have come from?
Well, I think there are several possibilities. It may be viewed as a strategy for the defense to get these witness testimonies and statements out in the public eye prior to them coming out in court. In that way, they may be able to water down some of their shock value and effect. And so there are just lots of different ways that you could think of how
we could do 30 minutes. We could literally do 30 minutes on how absurd this is. You're going to water it down. By the way, shortly after this ran, there was the defense lawyer who leaked them told the judge in court, I did leak them precisely because my client can't get a fair trial. It wasn't to water it down. It was because it was exculpatory. And, and it wasn't Trump's lawyer. It was one of the co-defendants' lawyers. Remember we had Cheesebro's lawyer on here, Grubman, a number of weeks ago.
Yeah.
It wasn't him. It was somebody else.
No, it was Jonathan Miller, who was an attorney representing one of the county election employees, who right. I believe
he wasn't worried about the watering down somebody who was going. What he was worried about is this kind of a choir of prosecutorial narratives that's going on prior to him getting a jury in there.
And to bring it full circle, with you talking about memes earlier, we have an image of the judge that you and I have agreed is very memeable after this attorney Jonathan Miller.
Ended on this. This could be this is the judge after the defense lawyer says, "What are you talking about? I was the one who leaked it."
Yeah, I leaked it, and I've got no problem with that. And
right,
this is the judge, and I just feel like this one's. I keep a folder on my computer of various GIFs and memes and stuff that I like to send to people when I'm having a text conversation. I'm trying to be humorous, and this one's going in the file. This is perfect. It's
and by the way, he has for all the defendants who were trying to get out of state court to go to federal court on a case like this, you couldn't have a better judge. This guy, at least so far, by all accounts, has been outstanding in the way that he's handled this case. And I have nothing but good things to say about it, about him and his decorum and what he's done. So I will leave it at that, Gary, because I don't want to get over 140 over 90 as I sit here talking to you.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, Mark. And you go have a nice, relaxing rest of your Sunday. And let's hope that the Chargers can vanquish the Packers, if nothing else.
Go Chargers.
All right, Mark. Thank you so much for your time. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye, Gary.
Thanks for listening to Reasonable Doubt. Subscribe on YouTube at youtube.com/Reasonable Doubt Podcast.